August the 1st in the Northern Hemisphere marks Lammas, or Lughnasadh, which is the height of summer and the time for the first harvest. In times gone by, people would celebrate on this day by feasting, lighting fires for the Celtic sun god Lugh, and dancing at festivals together. Now, I don't have a community like this right now, and my spirituality is often a bit different from modern witchcraft that often involves a lot of very specific spell work. What I do is a lot simpler and rooted in ancient paganism and the natural rhythms of the earth. When I do want to celebrate a new season or a Sabbath taking place, the first thing I will always do is take a long walk in nature. The colours associated with Lammas are gold, orange, yellow and green, so I put on an outfit to celebrate this and set off. It's important for me to feel deeply connected to the land, and to do this, it helps to take note of the seasons and the changing landscapes around your home. Whether you live rurally or in a city, there are always changes to take note of. I set off on a walk and looked out for the signs of the season. The blackberries are beginning to grow, the flowers are going over, and the sun is setting with a golden glow across the land. As I was walking, I noticed that one of my favourite wild plants, pineapple weed or wild chamomile, was out in abundance. This little plant symbolises summer perfectly for me, with its tiny yellow head reaching upwards in the scent of sweet apple and pineapple, which makes a wonderful addition to a cup of tea. So I set out to pick some to make a Lammas tea blend. In this day and age, we are so disconnected from our food that the concept of harvest means nothing to us, and we might find it hard to connect with this festival. But there once was a time where life revolved around food, working the land and preparing for each season, and the harvest celebrations would be so filled with meaning. Even though most of us can buy whatever we want from the supermarket all year round, it's important to think about that and recognise that food is seasonal, and that strengthening our connection with the soil is a great way to celebrate Lammas. I thought about this while I harvested the wild chamomile and felt gratitude for all of this abundance. While I was walking, I came across a farmer's field filled with wheat, the quintessential symbol of Lammas. Where some of the stalks had fallen to the floor, I gathered them up for a project back at home, as I wanted to create a version of a corn dolly, a traditional craft which honours the time of the harvest. When I returned home, I set the pineapple weed out to dry to create a tea blend later on, and set to work on creating a grain dolly with the wheat I had gathered. I didn't have any corn husks, so I got creative with a piece of cardboard, taping it together in the shape of a dress, adding a toilet roll tube as the body and some scrunched up paper for her head, and then using a glue gun to cover her in Hessian fabric. The spirit of the grain would be created using crop around the time of Lammas, decorating the home to ensure a plentiful harvest. Different parts of the UK and Europe all have their own versions of grain designs, so I went with a traditional female figure. I glued pieces of the fallen wheat to her dress, as well as some dried flowers of yellow and orange to continue the theme of Lammas. The hair was quite tricky, but I stuck it down as best I could, and I think she just has a little bit of a wild style with her hair going everywhere. This was the end result, something I can use to decorate for Lammas now every year. Baking is another traditional activity of the harvest, and the season's first grain would be used to create flour to create something for the feast. Traditionally, bread can be baked into a plat and served for everyone to enjoy, but I decided to go for something a little bit different: honey and lavender scones. I mixed the flour in with the baking powder and lavender, followed by the honey and the rest of the ingredients, and began to mix it together. If you wish, you can also stir an attention into whatever it is that you're baking. After that, I rolled out the dough onto a floured surface, and I didn't have a scone cutter, so I cut them into triangles and then left them to bake in the oven for about 12 minutes. I'll put the recipe in the description in case you want to try them. While they were baking, I found that my wild chamomile was now nice and dry after being left in a warm oven, so I set to create a Lammas tea blend. I started with calendula and St. John's wort, which are both yellow flowers that embody the spirit of the sun, and mixed in the pineapple weed to create the perfect summertime tea blend that could get me through the winter months to come. All that was left to do now was to sit down with my lavender scone and a cup of sunshine tea, give thanks internally again for the abundance all around me, and feel gratitude for the first harvest of the summertime. If you enjoyed this video, please do subscribe and let me know in the comments how you are celebrating Lammas this year. Thank you for watching.